Welcome to another episode of the Stars Podcast. I'm Brandon Anderson. We have a really good friend of mine that I'm super excited that we get to talk with today. Aria here with me.
Hey, I'm Arya. I have been in the car industry since 2019. I've worked in sales, I've been in management, I'm now working in finance. I've probably helped facilitate and transact well over 5,000 car deals. I've worked for a few different brands, primarily focusing on the luxury highline. On top of that, I'm just really into cars myself. I've bought and sold, my own collection over and over again. Most importantly, I've known Brandon for nearly 20 years at this point. Me and him go all the way back to middle school, from hanging out in the courtyard to buying houses together, cars, him meeting his kids, him meeting my dogs, my wife. It was definitely an honor to be here.
One of the things that I really can appreciate about Aria is I, I'm one of those people, if I'm really good at something and I know something very well, um, I will run with it. But at the same time, if I have somebody that I can trust that is really good at what they do, that may know more, then I'm gonna utilize them. One of those spaces is auto financing. I feel like Aria has become an extreme expert in that space. You've been at different dealerships at this point, dealt with different types of cars. I think you originally started on the, was it the sales side?
Sales and then worked my way up.
So yeah, the ins and outs of auto finance. I mean that industry is very cyclical. So yeah, I'm excited the conversation we're going to be able to have today. One of the things I really do appreciate though is a couple of years ago my wife needed a new car because hers just decided it didn't want to be here anymore. And I'll never forget that we get to the dealership, we're talking with the finance department. I have Aria just sitting on the phone grilling this guy, grilling
I
this
remember
guy
him.
about the deal. And it's interesting because Aria's like, listen, if you just give these terms, you get it. I forgot what it was. It was
He's like, the
something.
dude put himself in a corner, and I was like, this is your problem that you dug this corner. I'm like, it's very straightforward.
I think it came down to like
I
$200.
was like, you should eat the mistake. And he did not eat the mistake.
He didn't. So I walked, but Aria's done that for a lot of the folks that we're friends with. When it comes to auto financing, right? You finally find the car you like. You go online. The price is one thing online. You get the different price inside, and then they start throwing different things like gap insurance and all other loan terms to you. What do you feel like when people are walking into the dealership? What do you feel like maybe they should be a little bit more prepared conversation wise to have with people, from the finance department?
I think social media has really hurt the car business. I think this misconception is that follow social media, the dealer's out to get you and so forth. It's a relationship based business. Now, I've worked at three different stores. One of them, the third doesn't really count. I was barely there, and two out of the three have been luxury stores. So my experience is different, but social media kind of tells you to come in and keep everything a secret. Don't share anything with the person. When you get to finance, decline everything, go for the shortest term possible, put the most money down. But the reality is, if the average American doesn't have $1,000 in their savings account, what kind of advice are you giving? In my opinion, what it really is it's great to monetize online and make content with and to preach this whole thing. But when in reality, it doesn't apply to most people. So, simple example, you said you walk in the dealership, they say withhold information. Don't tell them your budget. I see this day to day when leads come in. They're like, I'm not telling you my budget. Well, if you tell me you have 30 grand to spend, this misconception is the dealer's showing you a car 40, 50 grand. But what does that do? Like, what does that really solve? It doesn't solve anything. The idea that the more a car costs, the more the commission is, or the more the spread is, or the more this is, it's not necessarily true. Your margin can be the greatest on a $15,000 car. And part of that is just, if a car gets traded in that needs transmission, hypothetically, it's not running, it has to get towed in, you buy it for thousands of dollars, and then the dealer internally fixes everything. It costs them significantly less than it would have cost a consumer, and then they can market it and sell it. Versus, I mean, the average consumer is educated. I mean, you want to know what your car is worth, it's really not hard to figure out.
That's true.
um, Before I walked in here, I sat in my car for 5 minutes because I one of the cars that I own is a pretty rare, I'd argue, collector car,
Yeah.
and there's an auction that was ending for a extremely high mileage, ugly color, bad history car. But what that bad car sells for does dictate what my car sells for.
Wow.
Um, so I would say honestly, just be open. Share what you want. Share your budget. A budget is not a bad thing. I think what we're really stuck on these days is out the door pricing, which I don't disagree with. But the average person cannot compute a out the door price to a payment to figure out if it fits like what they allocate to themselves every month. And as a result, I think that's causing more issues. I mean, one of our mutual friends, the one that we bump into once every
Yeah.
couple
Yeah.
months,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
he
Yeah.
told me he wants to buy like an AMG a while ago, and I was like, "What's your budget?" Those can range anywhere from
Yeah. So
30K
it's a wide range.
to 120K. Like, what do you,
Yeah.
what year, what mod, like what options and so forth. And he's like, "Oh, my budget's 80K," and I was like, "Cool. Like, what do you want to pay a month?" He goes, "No, it's 80K." I'm like, "What do you think that is in a payment?" He's like, 800. I'm like, "No, man, that's 1,600 bucks a month." He goes, "I'm putting 20 grand down." I'm like, "Cool, that's 1,200 a month," and that's on extended term.
Right.
So I think, communicate. I mean, communication is the biggest thing. Let the professional help you, because you come in and withholding information, the dude's on commission, or the lady. You're just wasting time. He doesn't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste his time.
Right. I mean, there's so many times that I've spoken to people that, or let's say we'll be in the middle of the financial planning process, be like, oh yeah, I just went and bought this car, and I'm like, all we had to do, we just had to wait a couple months. We wait a couple months. We see what the cash flow looks like. Okay, are we doing what we need to do? And the nice thing about it, I think, if you do the budgeting on the front end, you do the financial planning even on the front end, and you know that, hey, I got my different buckets taken care of. I have the room of, like you said, let's say it's $1,200 to go and put on this vehicle that I really want. It opens up that room, and guess what? You do it guilty free.
Well, I
But I
think you
think
got to budget for emotion too.
as well.
You're very like in your industry, like you said, you're budgeting, you're allocating it. You got to leave room for emotion. Emotion does take over, and at what point is it too much? I think car buying is an emotional process, and it should be
I think
emotional.
I think it is.
That's the fun part of it. When you bought your car,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like going out to eat. I ask you, hey, what's the budget tonight? What kind of food do you want? The car is the same thing. Brandon, what do you want to spend a month? What do you want? And what are your plans for the car?
Right.
And I think I even told you, like, you let me worry about the numbers. You worry about the emotion. I want you to go in, have fun, test drive it, get connected, or find out you hate it, and let me handle all the hard stuff.
Yeah, and I probably am not. I tell you, I'm not the easiest because I make a lot of any decision when it comes to finance. I just make very slow, and I very probably sometimes I could probably overanalyze the deal.
I've
So
dealt with a lot of
if
FAs, and
it,
it's comparable to dealing with an engineer. The
yeah, when it
questions,
comes
the
to when it
type of
comes to
buyer.
yeah, all the loan terms and things like things like that. I truly wish, like, if people just took the time, I think on the front end, like, yeah, do the budgeting, see what you can truly afford based on your financial picture, and then, yeah, what you can do, and then that way you can, yeah, enjoy the actual emotional part of
Establish that
processing a
relationship.
car. And I think part of it too, like you said, I think even in the car industry, a lot of people forget, like, you all are human beings too. Like, hey, you make a good connection with the finance guy, or if he goes to a different dealership, or even the sales
Well,
guy, they're gonna
I like to say, the three most hated people is realtors, criminal defense attorneys, and car salesmen. You've hung out with two of my close friends, and each of them is
we
one
got
of those.
yeah,
But
one of
when you
those,
need
yeah.
something, who's the most useful people to you? Who really bails you out of jail? Almost literally, the criminal defense attorney, the realtor hooks you up, and the car person. And I mean, you've needed stuff for your car, and I'm like, hey, just call this guy. You're like, I'm willing to spend X amount. I'm like, I can do it for 20 bucks. Just reach out to this person and drive the car to them.
Yeah.
Like, it's a relationship to establish. I think it's worth it. When you have an issue,
Yeah.
when you need to get out, or just someone you trust. I mean, I'm at a point where I've had almost 30 cars, and at this point, almost all of them have been somebody I know. But on the story of my Audi I literally texted my buddy, and I was like, "Hey, I want to get into something different. I won't drive anything less than an S because it needs to be somewhat quick and nice.
Mhm.
Here's what I want to pay. Make something happen. I'm good to go."
Yeah.
And then when I got that car, I had an S4. 3 weeks later, it got T-boned. I hadn't even made a
I
payment yet.
forgot about that,
I've had two
actually.
S4s. My first one
Yeah.
got T-boned, and I remember sitting at home and I told Daisy, my fiance, I was like, I don't want to drive a car that has this massive accident on it because I'm going to be second guessing it the whole time.
Right.
And she goes, I agree. I called the same guy and I said, hey, this car got in a wreck. It's at the shop. It's getting fully fixed. I don't want to drive it. I'm willing to pay X amount more. Get me in the same thing or better. And he called me back and goes, I have a car for you. Signed the paperwork. He went and picked up the old car from the shop.
Mhm.
And it was simple. Like, it doesn't need to be a complicated process, but
Yeah.
you need to have that relationship and that trust to get to that point.
Yeah.
Um, like, frankly, I'm glad that no salesperson has to deal with you.
Yeah.
You and my other best friend Elias, both of you, probably
Yeah.
some of the
That's,
worst.
that's probably
I
fair.
can I deal with
Probably
him,
fair.
but you know,
Yeah.
you guys want someone that can kind of guide you
Yeah,
through
through
the
the
process.
process. I'm actually curious about this too. Like you talked about social media, right? And you go on social media, all you see is the Lambo, and you see the Ferraris, the McLarens, and I think a lot of times when we even talk about the younger generation, younger than even we are, they get so hyper fixated on that I think very early on they're trying to basically spend their life savings to go and buy these vehicles. Have you run into that? Some people that are pretty young. I mean, obviously, you got some young people that are making really good money, but some people that you've basically had to say, "Hey, like
Oh, it's
you can't afford this
I mean,
car."
there's that joke where like Middle Easterns love white BMWs. I'm Middle Eastern. I've had two white both my BMWs have been white. It's very common to see an 18 to 24-year-old kid who's Middle Eastern who lives at home. It's culturally that's what they do, and he has a good job and he comes in and buys a new M3. You really can't really hate on him, right? I mean, the cars aren't hard to own. It's really not hard to cash flow these cars. Um, I think the bigger issue is how they're buying it. So I've been buying cars since I was 18, like getting an approval, getting good terms, getting the best possible. It's not hard. I'm currently sitting on 5 auto loans. Banks don't have a problem with me. When you're 19, 20, 21, all you have is a Discover credit card in your name. They're not going traditional financing routes. They're going, I guess what's become very common now, and I don't do this at my level, this is a much higher level. You got to find these people, is they do leases on exotic cars, which it's like your deposit. It's like, let's just say you want a Lambo. I mean, hypothetically, it's like 2 grand due up front, first month, last month, and another deposit due, and a down payment, of course, due. And then they don't understand how the interest compounds on that lease. They're sold on, oh, I can write off the lease if they figure out what that means, but they don't realize there's really not a lot of money going towards equity. The interest payment is so much greater, but that same Lambo financed on a traditional loan, it just makes more sense. But even with that said, cash flowing these cars makes more sense. I mean, I remember not long, a couple of years ago, this girl came in. I mean, think probably same age as us. She's buying a brand new Volvo cash. And I even asked her, I'm like, why? Like, why don't you just finance it? And she goes, this is literally everything that I have. She paid
Wow.
$45,000 cash, emptied her life savings because her parents told her that's the way to do it. But I mean, and what I'm thinking is you might as well have just walked outside the building and took 10 grand and just lit it on fire.
Yeah, that's
I mean, there's a right way and there's a wrong way
there.
where
There are real situations where yeah, it does make sense to
there's happy
buy a
mediums
car
too.
cash if you have what you need from like okay, I got my buckets of different savings set up, I've got investments going and things like that, and yeah, okay, my rate is 7-8% on this vehicle. Okay, and I have my liquids set up, my liquid assets are set up. Yeah, maybe it makes sense to pay cash and be done with it. Why? Because
And what's the
well,
gain too? But you got to think about that.
but to not in her situation, basically not have any setup on the back end and be like, okay, I'm gonna take this money and just yeah, that's
Well,
tough.
you and I are about the same age, different stages of life. I have two dogs, you have two kids. But, I even ask clients, I'm like, this whole money
It's
down,
true.
like, what do you think money down does? Let's use 10 grand. I'd say 10 grand to some is a life-changing amount of money. Um,
I've heard that even 10 grand doesn't really
doesn't
change
do
the life.
anything. 10 grand, like, it's not going to change my life, but 10 grand makes my life easier. I mean, that's an emergency fund. That's at least bills covered for X amount of time for me.
But and how realistically, how much would that 10 grand actually
On a
change?
72-month term, $200 a month.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, humbly speaking, if I drop 200 bucks, I'll probably won't even notice. If I drop 10 grand, I'm definitely picking it
Yeah,
up.
it doesn't matter how much money. I've got already 10 grand is 10
If you
grand. Like
can, the
that's
only time money down makes sense is, in my opinion, aside from like wanting to have equity in the car, if I have a payment that's like 1,010, okay, I'll put 1,000 to get it under. I guess 1,000. That's a hard. If the payment's to 2010, I'll put 1,000 down to get it under 2,000. There's some people who budget. There's one client that I think of who their combined income was like 60 grand a year.
wow.
They put $65,000 down on like a $90,000 car, and I remember asking them like, why? And they said if they don't put the money down, they're going to spend it. Which, you know what, at least you're aware of your own fault. Like, you know what, you thought about it, you really wanted the car, you saved up for it, you're aware of what you're doing. Like, who am I to judge? I had another guy, um, he's a police officer for DPD because he told me I can call him now if I need him. He was putting
Hey
30
man, I
grand.
just got pulled over. I was going way too
Literally, at
fast.
first he told me never reach out to him. Then he said he's my cousin. He was putting 30 grand down on a 0% loan, and I was like, "Hey, why are you putting 30 G's down on this? This is free money." And he goes, "Don't you have to?" I go, "Who told you that?" He goes, "Don't you have to put money down on a car?" I'm like, "No, like you qualify, like you're good." After that, he gave me his badge number, his contact info, and told me reach out to him. But some of it is just misconception.
Yeah.
I mean, the only instance where, I mean, like I said, people deplete their bank accounts. I mean, I collect payments on multiple cards, different avenues through borrowing it from family members, and they're in front of you doing all this, but it doesn't make any. It really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I guess what is your barrier to like as the finance person? You tell them like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. Like you shouldn't do that, or like
Um,
is there like a certain point where you're basically like if
you gotta play carefully. When I first got into the business, the hardest thing for me was watching people make bad decisions, and then I've come to realize that those people are gonna make the bad decision either way. I mean, go tell a meth head, "Don't smoke meth." I mean, how well is that gonna work out for you? Um, all I can do is give them a positive experience and be nice to them and guide them through it because the next guy might not. You know, my job is not to judge you. My job is to help you. In the finance office, having a title, I tread carefully because I'm younger than most of my clients. You know, I'll just say, "Hey, just out of curiosity," or "What made you want to do that?" Or, "What kind of inspired this decision?" And if but I mean, this is kind of what I think America is built off of is immediate gratification. Like, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. And like I said, like if that person's there to buy a car, they didn't come see you. They came to see me.
Mhm.
My job is to sign them up.
Yeah.
There's only so much. And then think about it. What's the fine line of imagine you go buy a car and I'm telling you like you're making a mistake. Like who am I to tell you how to live your life? And I think that's a line you probably have to be careful in your business too. I mean, there's one investment decision I made that you're strongly against, and I'm down a lot of money on it. But even as
I
a
try
friend,
my
like
best.
there's a line of do you be nice about it and go, hey, hopefully it works out? Because if it does pay out, I already told you that money's coming to you. Or are you kind of rude about it? And then what do I go? I'm like, I'm not going to come to Brandon. It's like your parents. You're going to yell at me. So why would I tell you anything in the future?
That's fair. It's a good point. You got to be careful on how you probably phrase things. That's for
And on
sure.
top of that, nothing is worse than doing something and somebody is just dumping all over it. Like imagine when you bought your car, you're excited, and then you call me and I go, "Oh man, you got ripped off."
Yeah, that's
I just killed it for you. Be excited for the person, be happy.
yeah.
I'm not gonna let somebody ruin their life, of course, but like I'll talk people out of like, hey, should I go 84 months? I'm like, professional opinion, no, I wouldn't. I'm like, you
Yeah.
do what you want, but if you're asking my 2 cents, no, I don't think it's worth it.
Mhm.
And more often than not, if you come off the right way, people will understand it.
Let's shift gears a little bit off of auto finance. Maybe just talk about um, Dallas. You've lived down in Dallas now for how many
I think it's
years?
like 7 or 8 years now.
Seven or 8 years, and then you graduated from
UTD.
UTD. So yeah, you've been
Been around the block.
North Dallas for a while. What do you think is a big misconception about actually being able to afford living in downtown Dallas and actually just the cost of that lifestyle versus maybe somewhere else in the Metroplex?
Okay, the cost, if you asked me 7 years ago, the cost is pretty ridiculous. It is more. The cost now, it costs the same to live in Frisco, Plano as it does to live in Dallas.
Yeah.
It really just depends what you want to be around. This misconception is you live in Dallas and you have to go out and you have to party, which I mean, there's some truth to it. Um, I went through a party phase. There were when I first moved out there, I was out all the time.
Yeah.
But the people you meet is better. I mean, I can spend 2 grand a month and live in Frisco in a 1 bedroom and I can hang out with the families nearby and go hang out at Legacy West and,
Which is just crazy to think that even an apartment is 2 grand at this
oh,
point. I mean, 2,400, 25,
when I
three
moved down
grand
there,
and
it
up,
was
six grand.
I lived in a high rise when I first moved out there. I sold my car. I allegedly faked my pay stubs. I really had nothing. I lived on the top floor corner unit of a high rise. It was 1657 a month, and
Wow.
that was like crazy.
I know, bad dollars, and that's a
Sixteen
while
hundred
ago,
bucks a
man. But
month for a top floor unit now. Sign me up. I won't even done, you know? But
sixteen hundred
nowadays,
dollars would be amazing right
two
now.
grand is I think what like the norm
I think at that
for
point,
like a nice place. I mean, I know some
I've
people
heard
will
some
say you can find a
one.
thousand, but for a nice place, nice location, like luxury, 2 grand is a really good starting point.
Mhm.
But
I think
that's
in
everywhere.
Frisco they're saying it's like 2,300, 2,400, even for some one bedrooms.
Yeah, I mean, down there, you live with young people who ideally share the same hunger. So, I mean, if you just kind of back into the numbers, if you think about it, if apartment starts at 2 grand, most apartments have a 3.5x income requirement. That's 7,500 a month the person has to make. Times that across 12 months, they're making just under 100K a year. Now, 100K is not what 100K used to be, but you have somebody somewhat qualified, like somebody who's doing something next to you. I think a 20-year-old making 100,000 a year is a bit more impressive than a 40-year-old making 100,000 a year. So I would like to say like you're kind of generalizing, but you're around like-minded individuals. Um, nothing against, Bill next door, but I'm not learning much from hanging out with the family next door to me. Like I'm not hanging out with them regularly. I'm not like living life with them. The people you meet in these buildings, they're all young, they want to have a good time, the whole work hard, play harder mentality. Um, you meet just people who are similar to you. But on top of that, you get exposure to more things, you get invited to more things. My first Cowboys game I ever went to was me in the elevator chopping it up with my neighbor. And he's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Shake Shack." And he's like, "Where are you going?" And he said he was supposed to go to the Cowboys game, but he forgot he had a wedding the same day. And then 20 minutes later, he texted me and goes, "Bring me a burger from Shake Shack and you can have my tickets."
Yeah, sold.
Yeah,
Done deal.
some of my closest friends that you've met, I met them in the elevator. I spent so much time of my life in an elevator, and you see the same people. You park on the same floor of the garage.
Yeah,
You make friends. After a while, you're like, "Hey, man, I've been seeing you for 2 months. Like, what's your name?" Dog park, great place to meet people.
dog parks.
I
Big,
met the
big dog
CEO.
guys. I remember when you didn't have any dogs. I feel like I influenced that some. We're big dog
You and
guys
Daisy.
now. Yeah, big dog
But I met
guys.
the CEO of like local companies at the dog park because there's one specific guy's dog was Meatloaf. Meatloaf loved to play with Sosa. And on top of that, this guy also happened to
Love
work
meatloaf.
really
What
late
what breed
hours.
was meatloaf?
English Bulldog.
See, that's perfect.
This guy
Yeah,
also worked
love
really
that.
late hours, and so we'd see each other at the dog park at night. And just turns out the
Gotta love
kid,
meatloaf.
yeah, Meatloaf was an awesome guy. Or awesome dog, great
Yeah,
dog.
I haven't met meatloaf. I'm sure meatloaf's just
I
excellent.
hope he's doing well.
By the way, like English bulldogs as puppies got to be some of the
They're
cutest
giant
dogs.
boulders that run at you.
It's like I saw a buddy had just posted um and his other buddy I know too. Their parents just got an English bulldog, cutest dog ever, man. Just like it's just a wrinkly,
They're fun, man, but the cleanup is not for me. I need a low maintenance. My
low
dogs are
maintenance
not
dog.
low maintenance, but low maintenance dog as I can.
Yeah,
I like when my friend has an English bulldog.
that's fair. You give it back. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like living in a high rise is cool. Have a friend who lives in a high rise. It's even cooler. You get all the benefits and none of the
Not have to,
downside.
yeah, not have to pay for all the other stuff. What do you feel like at this point now, just to even sustain a lifestyle in downtown Dallas? What do you feel like the average cost would be?
Okay, so for me it's a little bit different. I'm in a house and but to factor that out, I mean, look, so before I moved out into a house, I was paying 3 grand a month for a one bed in a really nice place. You could probably drop that down to 2,500, all things considered. I think going out and Uber Eats and Door
Yeah.
Dashing, I don't think you have to go out and spend money, but I think it takes a lot of self control to not indulge in the convenience. Like, okay, you and I live in different parts. If you open your Uber Eats at midnight, I open mine at midnight. Mine's pretty solid. I got some really good options.
Yeah.
You may end up going, I shouldn't eat at night, there's nothing good open. Let's just wait till morning.
Sure.
I look at mine and I go, man, there's $50 right there,
And there's
gone, and
like
it'll
that
be at
in
my
the
house
city,
in
man.
20
You've got
minutes.
every option at the
I think
fingertips.
keeping up with the Jones is a big problem. I think that's probably where most of your cost is. Your buddies want to go out to eat. It's $1,000 tab. Are
Mhm.
you gonna say no?
That's tough.
Um,
Yeah,
I remember one
yes, it
time
is.
we did a credit card roulette on $1,000 tab. No one wanted to do it, but were you gonna be the one to say no?
Yeah.
I didn't lose.
So there's probably a lot of living above the means going
You
on
go
down
out
there for
to
sure.
think about, I mean, think back in our going out days. Like we go
Mhm,
out to the club, it's us, all of us have a girl with us. Are
mhm.
we gonna stand around or are we gonna get a table? How much is the table? And then, once you're drinking and that second bottle runs out, you're at your minimum. Are we gonna have our hands in our pockets for 30 minutes or
Yeah,
are we buying another one?
even yeah, you look at downtown Dallas and just the cost of even being young in downtown Dallas, and you have
Cost $100 to walk outside.
man, yeah, you go to the like you said, and the buddies start messaging, and they want to get tables and stuff. I don't think people actually truly know. Like a lot of the people that either even live down in downtown Dallas do not know actually true like how much they actually spend probably cumulatively on that, just going out or drinks or meals and things of
You
that
need to
nature.
move down there when you're broke and keep as many broke friends as you can.
I was about to say because you
That's
start
really
moving,
it.
your friends start moving up, man. Your costs move up
When
with
I
it.
first
Yeah.
moved down there, I'm taking a Lime scooter to La Ventana, getting $2 tacos, getting a $4
I remember
latte.
taking a couple scooters with you.
Yeah, and that was it. Like you can
Are
have
the
fun.
scooters gone now? Like I was
No,
trying to
they
figure
come
out.
back. They're
Okay,
back
I
now.
was like, 'cause I
They're
know they
not
had for a
as
while.
cheap, but that was what it was. You found cheap fun. It was the easiest way to do it. Um, Now if shortly after you meet some people, you're taking your buddy's new Range Rover over to like Town Hearth, you're
Mhm.
dropping 150, 200 a head, and then you're going to the club after. And then depending, if you have girls with you, you're ordering black cars. You're not
Mhm.
ordering Uber X's. And then next thing you know, your tab just for like rideshare was $100 at the end of the night.
Not the black car. Yeah.
And once you ride in a black car, you're not getting in the X again. That's something you do with your guy friends. You order the Uber X and complain the whole time.
Oh man.
And then time. Time is a big thing too. So, like, on the topic of black cars, what is your time worth to you? If we're leaving, let's say dinner, so I don't really drink anymore. So let's just say I go out to dinner
Mhm.
and the X is 15 minutes away, the black is 3 minutes away. What is the value of your time? I pay the extra. I mean, I've done this with you. I care about my time so much that I start knocking on windows of cars that look like Uber drivers, and I'm like, I'll give you cash right now. I live 2 miles away. Name a price,
That is so
and we've
funny.
done that.
I literally like a couple. I think it was a day or so ago. I was telling somebody about a time. Yeah, I just went and knocked on an Uber. I was like, listen,
100%.
I want to go home. You know.
You find someone else who values their time, and you approach them. You're like, hey man, you'll be back right here in 20 minutes. Let's just be done with it. Oh yeah, you know what? I've got into like full negotiations with drivers because of you. There,
There's a full
I've got
negotiation.
into. There's two specific ones I remember. One of them where the dude wouldn't budge,
Mhm.
and then the other one where he was like, "Fine, I'll take you." And I remember the first guy kept trying to leverage. Like I'm in a suburban, and I was like, "Bro, he just wants to get home. You're driving that way anyways. You're about to call it a night. You want to go home with nothing? Or you want to make an extra $50, and it's on your way."
A little negotiation going on. Uh, man, I was another thing that I was thinking about when it came to you and just being in Dallas and also being in car finance is you have a lot of opportunity in Dallas when it comes to work and that deal, but even for people like you that work outside of Dallas but still want to live in Dallas, one of the other costs that probably sneak up too is just the driving. And now,
Oh, I sold my BMW because of it.
yeah, I mean, and let's talk about this: the tolls,
Okay, so
toll
tolls
prices.
tolls unfortunate kind of. My tolls, okay, I pay for my tolls, my dad's, my brother's, and Daisy's. My tolls to work are less than $1 a day. I'm
Oh, that's
not
pretty
mad
good.
about it. My little
I
brother's
need your tolls
tolls
because my
well, it's
tolls.
114 express.
Oh,
So
okay,
like it's 30 cents.
okay, yeah.
DNT and 121 that now my brother is taking, man, he's racking up my toll bill. Like he's over $100 a month and purely just tolls. But I think gas is a bigger one. So
Gas is
I've gone
gas.
through this multiple times.
We might get into conspiracy theory here
You know
because
what?
people are.
I think I need to. Man, it's every time I own a BMW, something happens. It's happened two times. The first time I had my M2, it was fully built. I was getting 10 miles per gallon. This is when gas hit like $5, $6 a gallon a few years ago. I think I want to say coming out of COVID. And I ran the numbers, and it was cheaper for me to buy a second car and commute in that than drive my M2 to work. So I did that. Recently, I had my M3 and I had my 718, and Daisy got a job where she was no longer working from home. She was commuting, and the miles were the same. So I have two cars that get 15 miles per gallon premium gas, and I'm filling them both up every 3 to 4 days. And then I traded that M3 after 3 months, and I got an electric Hummer. I was like, I'm done with it. It's not even, bad enough is paying for gas. I think what's worse is 110 degrees outside having to pump the gas. And then depending on where you work, okay, so when you live in Dallas, one of the wonderful joys is most of your gas stations are sketchy.
I was about to say you got to pick your gas stations wisely in
Oh, my
Dallas.
buddy
There's
got
yeah,
his
there's
Rolls robbed at a gas station at 1:30. They went up to him, they stole his car.
that is crazy.
I hate the gas
What are
station.
you doing at 1 a.m. Waiting? I want to be in bed at 1 a.m.
He was with a client. It was even worse.
Oh my goodness, that's
So it's
terrible.
you and it's like I just flew in, you picked me up, and I just watched you get robbed at gunpoint for your car. So that part, I just hate stopping to
Take
get
it back.
gas. And then
It's tough.
Daisy's my fiance, but we'll just round up to my wife. Like your wife doesn't want to get gas. Whenever she has to go somewhere and someone panhandles her, she's calling me. We'll
Yeah.
just eliminate the problem. I got a fuel efficient car for her to drive,
There
and I
you
have
go.
the Hummer, and we just go back and forth.
Yeah, there you go.
But those are costs that people don't add up. Like tolls are a big part of it. Gas is a big part of it. I just helped my buddy get out of his car into something else, and we're adding up all the costs. His monthly payment is 1,500, but total with insurance and gas, he's paying $2,600 a month.
It's crazy because I feel like at this point, like even that's something we could definitely get into. It's like the price of like the monthly cost of the car. I mean, you're talking about there's the days of like, oh, my payment's $200,
Well, look,
$400,
I think that brings up
for
a bigger problem. I think we've glorified having paid off cars, and it's a paid off car is not a free car. You have a car that's paid off. Let's say it's worth 10 grand, and you're all happy you don't have a car payment. Well, when you're spending 3 grand a year to maintain it, you have a 250 a month car payment. Like you have it there. And then what's more logical, having a car payment or dumping more into something than it's worth? I mean, we had that talk with your last one. I was like, there's going to be a point where
yeah,
it's
you
not
can't
worth
get
it to
you
fix
can't
it.
you can't get any value
Like
out
you've
of it.
convinced yourself because there's no recurring monthly expense that, oh, I'm in a great position. Okay, but when you have $1,000, 2 grand, 3 grand pop up every so often, I mean, okay, I'm in a car, great, I have a payment, I'm under full warranty, my maintenance is paid for. Like are you in that much of a better position
Yeah, I
than
feel like
me?
if the car obviously is running, it's a good car, it's healthy, good scenario. But like, yeah, the one time that it does, whatever that cost may be,
And
it could bite you.
for more people than I would say a paid off car is something older. Not many people have brand new paid off cars. I mean,
Mhm.
typically, if you do, you're unless you paid your whole life savings, you're in a whole different bracket. Getting parts on these older cars is not fun. Like it's not fun. It's not cheap.
I
Finding
remember
someone to work on it.
we had old 2000. It's gone now, but the old 2008 Tahoe, and it got to the point. Yeah, you're having to pull parts from the ether to try to make sure the part fits and stuff like that. But there are so many places that didn't have the parts.
Oh, my Audi's a 2015. It's a convertible. The top stopped working. It took 2 months for the part to arrive, and then when it arrived, it was dead. It was broken. So it took another month to wait. That exact car, my seatbelt wouldn't retract as quickly. $1,000 for the seatbelt. That top was 4 grand. Um, the car makes a noise. It's minimum a grand in a month.
Nah,
I
that's
mean, right
crazy.
now I'm getting an exhaust put on that car, and it was supposed to be a direct bolt on, but it's not. It needs more work. Um, we're going on 4 weeks right now that I haven't had this thing for an exhaust that I willingly wanted to put on. If I could go
That's
back in
painful.
time, I don't think I would have bought this
Yeah, I don't
exhaust.
know. I don't know if the exhaust was needed. Yeah.
I would much rather have it in my garage. The only good thing is I'm not putting miles on it, but that bill is still coming out. I'm still paying the insurance on it. But that car's a great example. I bought that car clean. There's nothing wrong with it. Um, It's a 2015. It has 30,000 miles on it. It's fully documented. It's fully serviced. I've owned that car for 7 months. It's been in the shop for 4, and it's not broken. It's just waiting.
That's
I
tough.
I
That's tough.
and even new cars aren't any better. I mean, my Hummer is a 25. The cruise control stopped working. I even took it to the dealership before so they could diagnose it and order the part to minimize my time that I'd be out of a car. 37 days because it wasn't the part they thought it was.
Nice. Love that for us. So one thing I do want to go back to, because we were talking about this the other day. I feel like at this point, with so many different subscriptions, right, that make life easier, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Instacart. It's not even like the bigger things that necessarily add up, because you're like, okay,
The
I'm gonna
40
go to,
bucks, the 20 bucks.
yeah, I'm gonna go to dinner with my buddies. It's gonna be, we're going to a nice restaurant, it'll be $100. But like now, oh well, I don't feel like eating today or cooking today. I'm gonna order Uber Eats, and then you don't want to cook tomorrow, and you order Uber Eats.
Oh,
Like,
on the way down here, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, sushi sounds kind of good tonight. And I was like, do we have any food left? I'm like, but I really want sushi tonight. Because already thinking, I don't want to eat at home today.
thinking about Uber Eats or going,
Oh,
but
just go.
regardless, like it's. I think at this point, between gas this year for sure, that's been crazy. I feel like gas is just running through cars. And then yeah, you start the Uber Eats, the Instacart. You're like, next thing you know, you spent five, 600, 700, $800,000 or more on
Man,
food,
I think you're
and
you're not even pointing out the obvious. It's the tolls. So if you go to the NTTA website and you log
well,
in,
that isn't that why they pulled the state troopers, because it was like a
well, they
whole it
wouldn't
was a
come
whole
to an
thing.
agreement, but I don't think you realize how much money you spend on tolls. If you go to the
Uh,
website, you can download your year-end summary.
I'm glad they're just at this point pulling the money, because I think
That's exactly what it is.
if I see it, I'm gonna be
So my
depressed.
NTTA like auto charge is 80 bucks.
Hmm.
So and I never pay attention. When it shows up, I look at it and I look away. And then at the end of every year, I open my year and you can download your summary and it divides it. It shows you by car, it's by person, and what the total you spent. I think my total last year was me and Elias did it, and we were off by $8. So my total was $1,700, which is a lot. But again, I pay for a lot of people, so it's a lot of cars on my account.
Right.
It's not the end of the world, and the culprit is my little brother. Try explaining that to a 19-year-old kid that hey man, $1.50 on each tower adds up. Um,
Just $1.50.
but Elias was spending, I think my, let's say, like I said, if I was like 1732, he was like 1726. That's one person. That's just him. And the bulk of it is him going to visit his dad in Frisco and coming back. And he said exactly that. He goes, I've never noticed how many times it has reloaded. And his recharge, whatever, is 40 bucks. I was like, the 40 alerts you got on your credit card, you never noticed that
40 you
it
learn.
was pulling out, but you don't think
Elias.
about it. Like if my phone rang right now and said NTTA $80, I would look at it and go, "Oh, that sucks," and move on.
Yeah, man. I truly think it's things like that, the Uber Eats, the Door Dashes, the Instacarts, that it's set up so easily. It's so nice to use. Yeah, I can hop on the tollway and not even think about it. Then next thing
Exactly.
you know, you look up and just on food and tolls, you spent like 15 grand
I
that
mean, if you go out to
year.
eat in Dallas, right? So if you take, let's say you take the tolls, what are you really spending? You're say you and Ashley go, it's 150 bucks. Well, you just spent 10 bucks in tolls. You paid 10 bucks to park your car. You guys get a sweet treat on the way home. Like the gas
It's
there,
Andy's.
everything.
Andy's is a problem.
Yeah, what did it really cost? Let's say you go somewhere like new in Dallas that's valet only. That's become the new trend, valet
Mhm.
only. I mean, hospitals are valet only some places.
Sure.
Um, 20 bucks. If I go to I don't like going to downtown. If I go to downtown, I don't want my car parked in some random garage. It's like, what does it take to leave it up front?
That's fair.
Because frankly, I just don't think the roads are that great. But that's 30 bucks now. That's 40 bucks.
It
And
just starts adding up.
But I think the problem that you face, I think it's one thing to assume when you first move down there, but I think once you hit a more professional level and you kind of climb the little tax brackets
Mm.
and you start valuing your time, I look at things now and I go, how long is that going to take me and what am I worth? I'm like, whatever, I'll just pay it
Yeah.
because the convenience is worth it. And the difference of if I leave work late at night, Uber eating Sweet Green and having to get to my house the same time I get there is worth the delivery fee, is at least what I tell myself, versus me detouring, picking it up, and coming home.
Yeah. I think one thing that is key from this conversation is no matter how much money you're making, you still need to know what's coming in and what's going out.
Oh,
Like if because
100%.
if you're not paying attention to that, you're gonna end up spending way out of probably what you need to for a lot. Like I think it's still good to come back to the baseline, no matter
Oh, look at
what
your
you're making.
receipts too. That's a big piece of advice. I've been going out with friends. It's a big group of us. In some places, like just one person picks it up, we'll deal with it later. No one looks at the receipt anymore.
Yeah,
You don't know what they're putting on there.
yeah. I will say this happened to me. We were out to eat. I guess it was one of those things that was like auto tip or whatever. Tipped the guy again because I just and then Ashley's
It's
like, "Hey, you
it's like the car dealer, right? They're not out there to screw you necessarily. I don't think the
no,
server
it's just
cares about his 20% he's getting on that extra calamari you billed you for, but it's a human being. Like, what if he accidentally tapped the screen twice?
could have."
You know,
Next
like
thing you know, you tipped him freaking $80.
he's not going to tell you there's auto tip. And not only auto tip, there's a service charge, and there's a 3% credit card charge.
Yeah,
Like, there's surcharges on the surcharges.
yeah, yeah.
But with that said, I mean, where I would say that I kind of differ from a lot of people, or so maybe some advice that you recommend for people is I do think that when you're young and you're dumb, I think you need to put yourself in a level of debt or discomfort as long as you have the personality to get yourself out of it or operate under pressure. Something that I see in a lot of interviews that's very common. You know, pretend we're sitting here and you go, "Oh, what's your biggest financial regret?" It's always the same thing: the bottle service, the trips, the first class seats, the big dinners. I disagree. I think that's a bad way to look at it. You don't. How do you reach for the next level in life if you don't know what that next level is? You and I grew up in a little suburban, what's become a big suburban
It's a
town
big
now.
suburban. It's a
You
big
know,
suburban.
had we known nothing, what would our goal in life have been? To have a white picket fence house in a decent neighborhood, to have two paid off cars in the driveway, to have two dogs, two and a half kids, and hope that we can make it to Benihana on the weekends. Like, but then you go out and you kind of experience life. You realize these little like skyscrapers, people live in them, or people live in these crazy homes with like built-in gyms and saunas and basketball courts, and somebody has a Range Rover as their beater car, and $100 dinner is nothing. I mean, that's what fueled me to have the hunger and the drive to go, I want that, and to not want to get comfortable.
Mm.
Because I would argue, had I not experienced these things or got to see them, I would have got comfortable a long time ago. And I would have just hit my peak and relaxed. I mean, I just bought three of my childhood dream cars, and my next thought is like, how do I get the next one?
Mm.
I'm already striving for
Don't
the
tell me that.
next level. Um,
Don't tell me that.
all three of the
Sweating
cars
over
that I have
that.
now were three cars that I had on a poster on a wall as a kid.
No.
And so now, my next step is how do I get the Lambo?
Well, I will say it's something to, when you, I think being able to visualize and be around like what you want, and I think that's different for everybody.
But you need to make the
But,
decision of do you want it or not. How
but,
do you know if you never
but
experience it?
yeah, no, no, yeah, I think you got to be around it to know what's possible. If you're confined to, like, obviously my mom's from Dominican Republic, you're Persian. I mean, so you go over there, it's a completely different lifestyle. Like if you were in that realm your whole life, you wouldn't necessarily always know what would be possible unless you probably saw it on TV or something. And same thing with a lot of these, kids in Dominican Republic. I think it is something to be said, just being around people that are doing things, or like you said, they're working hard, they're motivated.
Well, think back to when we were
Um,
like 22. We go out. We go to dinner. We felt like we balled out, but in reality, we didn't. We take our little Uber X to the club. We split 10 bot. We split two bottles 10 ways, 10 dudes,
mm,
and then we're scrambling how to get home. And the table next to us is just popping bottles all night. They all leave in black cars and sprinters, and we're going, man, how do we get to that level? And then you hit that level, and you're like, oh, this is kind of lame.
mm,
And now you're like, okay, cool, I did it. Like I can say I did it, and I'm not into it. I think a lot of people aren't living for themselves. But you hit these levels and you realize what matters to you and what doesn't. If you want to be 40 hanging out with college grads out every night, flying up to Cabo, well, good for you. Like,
mm,
do it for yourself. Like, experience these things to figure out when you're older, should they be glamorized or not? Is it a priority or not? I mean, I'm not even 30 yet, but I already hit a point where I'm like ABC doesn't matter to me. This is not a priority in my life, but like XYZ does. I don't want to turn 40 and be like, I wish I experienced this, or have that midlife crisis where you do see that grandpa at dinner at the bar talking to people half his age, making everyone uncomfortable.
Mm,
Um, when you got your car, I even told you, I was like, Brandon, you have been talking about getting something fun ever since I've known you. I'm
mm,
like, you're getting older, you have a kid. Like, don't put yourself in a position where you're going to look back in 10 years and be like, I wish I did that, or I never got to do it. Or even worse, like, you have real responsibilities when when you're the head of the family, and now you're potentially putting your family in financial jeopardy to live out your midlife crisis.
yeah,
Like,
don't
make
do
the
that.
mistake when you're young. Like, be stupid now and get it out of the system, and you have your whole life to be boring and live a normal life.
And I think one thing that I will say that you do well is yes, you like to do nicer things, maybe spend more than other people may want to, but you do a really good job still in tracking. Okay, am I hitting also my savings goals and things like that? And obviously, you leveraged me and said, hey, what do I need to be doing? Where do I need to be putting it? In your head, like how are you balancing those things? I feel like sometimes people will just focus like, "Oh, this is what I want, and I don't need to save anything. I need to live for now." And it seems like you're finding a way to kind of
I
do
think
both.
I think the biggest cheat code in life is you see what you define as rich people doing all these extravagant things. Those things cost nothing, or they're free, or they pay you to do it if you can handle the cash flow. I had season tickets to the Mavs for 3 years. I lived right across the street. I know nothing about sports. I don't care about sports. I bought them because my little brother loves basketball, and it was something fun to do with him. I have no emotional tie to any team. Like, is it cool to see the Lakers play? Sure, I should just see them once. I don't need to see them every time they come to town. So I ran the numbers, and you're allowed to sell half of your tickets with the organization before they flag you. So you get 41 home games. You're allowed to sell 20 of them. I went through and I added up what tickets demand the most amount of money and how much would I make back. My first year, I think it costed me $400 for season tickets. My second year costed me 700. I think I made 5 grand my third year. But what's the cost? It was $750 a month. That's it. I have to cash flow that. And then this goes back to the whole like, oh, you should pay everything off and not have debt. Well, why? With the Dallas Mavs and most sports teams, if you put a credit card on file, there's no credit check, there is no fee, there's nothing, and they will split it up interest free across 12 monthly payments. So to show you how little I know, I don't even know when the basketball season runs. I think it's October to April. So those, what is it? Those months in between, those 6 months, there's no money coming in. You're just paying towards your season tickets. So you really just need to be able to handle cash flowing for 6 months of $750. Prices have gone up now, but call it $1,000 a month. And then once you start selling tickets, the money's coming back in. That was something free. I'm sure to the outsiders or my social media followers, oh man, this dude's got money. He's at every game. No, I went to 20 a year and it costed me nothing. And frankly, I could have probably made more money, but I gave away a lot of them. Um, Other thing, cars. So I have 4 cars right now. 2 of them are just daily drivers, traditional ones, 2 are just traditional leases. The other 2 are cash flowed, no money down. I told you, based on how I bought both of those cars and what I believe the market will do, I think both of those will yield me a 15 to 20% return in 1 year if I sell them. Now, I don't count the cost of maintenance and service, gas, insurance as my overall cost because I would drive that car anyways. That's just the cost of doing business to me. But operating purely off of a sales price, the cost of it to get it to me and just to do a major service on it, that's what I count. Both cars, my plan is if I sell them next year, is with the equity in the loan and the appreciation, I should pull out $50,000 on both of them. You don't know me, you see 2 foreign cars in my garage, you go, man, who is this guy? I mean, the cash flow is heavier, but as long as I can maintain the cash flow, I'm getting paid to drive both of them and to cross them off my list. This goes back to what you said earlier, young kids buying these cars. Financing a Urus that's clapped makes no sense. You're going to lose so much money on it. Um, Buying an M3, honestly, not that stupid of decision. Those cars don't really lose value. I made 5 grand selling my M3. So my Audi is costing me more. I put more money into it than miles, and that's
Mm.
just its own thing. Um, my M3, I got paid $1 a mile to drive it.
And but one thing I will say about what you do is, even though you are spending, I think outside of that, like you're still doing what you need to do from a retirement standpoint. You're saying, hey, where do I need to do things
That's
outside of
how I
that
enable
savings wise?
myself.
Because you're meeting you're you're meeting your goals on that end to allow you to then.
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, how we live is wasteful. It's
Mhm.
beyond what's necessary. And no one needs to live somewhere nice, wear nice clothes, have a nice car. So if I can justify buying a sports car,
Mm,
in reality, there's no logic to it. I tell myself I'm making money, I firmly believe it,
mm,
but there's really no logic to it. It's still a risk. I could give that same money to you and probably get the same thing. I need to take care of everything else. Like
yeah.
I need to have a certain amount in my bank account. I need to be liquid a certain amount. I need to have a certain amount set up for retirement. Every other box needs to be checked
Checked prior
before.
to making that move.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap, what is one tip when it comes to auto financing that you feel like people need to know or would be extremely helpful?
I think walk in with realistic expectations. Be honest with yourself. When you're walking in to buy a car, what social media says, go on out the door number. Well, figure out what that means on a payment, because let's say you go in on out the door, you can't afford the payment, but ego now gets in the way. You just did what you tried to avoid, you just did. I think know your budget. So on the topic of like, okay, so I'm like the evil dude in the back who upsells you, but think about it. Like, you come in, I'm going to buy this car, I'm going to keep it for 5 years. Okay, well, you have to maintain the car for 5 years. You can't argue with me. You have to maintain the car. If the prepaid maintenance is half the price, which it is, why are you not taking it? Because some dude on social media told you not to, or you read an article? Like, it's saving you money.
It's like the WebMD of
Yeah, like,
auto
do you, and on top
finance.
of that, when you come in to buy a 3-year SUV because you're having your first kid and the sales guy goes, hey man, like, what if we step down to a 2-row SUV? Don't blow him off. Maybe like the dude's trying to save you 10 grand, 15 grand. Like, you don't need necessarily a third row SUV. When you're putting no money down and the guy explains gap insurance to you, when you have 500 bucks to your name, don't tell the guy that you can afford to write a check for 20 grand. And if the car gets totaled, if you're going to keep the car a long time, instead of giving the finance guy, the sales guy, the manager a hard time when he offers you a warranty saying, oh, are you telling me the car's not reliable? I mean, dude, it's a car. Like, I don't know what the future holds. I tell every client the same thing. I'm not here to sell you on doom and gloom. One of two things are going to happen. Car's going to break or it's not going to break.
I think
If it breaks, do you have the cash? Like, what's worse for you, stroking a check or paying a little bit extra a month? Like, just be real with yourself.